Welcome back to Cheddar's Opening Bell. Our nation sits in shock right now once more after at least 19 children and 2 adults were killed in a school shooting. One of those adults shot dead was a gunman. Now, the shooting happened Tuesday afternoon at an elementary school about 85 miles west of San Antonio. And again, this is now the deadliest shooting since the 2012 Sandy Hook massacre in Newtown, Connecticut. But it also comes just 10 days after that horrific grocery store shooting in Buffalo, New York. For more on this, I want to bring in Nelson Vergara, founder and CEO of 360 Protective Solutions and a New York City law enforcement professional with an academic background in homeland security and emergency management. Nelson, this obviously just another devastating incident. And unfortunately, we're saying another deadly and devastating incident now involving children. Can you just walk us through what you have done on incidents like this and what the investigation process in Texas looks like right now?
Well, first of all, this is very this is horrific. This is terrible. What's going on now in Texas? Couple days ago in Buffalo, but right now what law enforcement is concentrating on is trying to trace the steps as to what motivated the gunman to act the way he did. Just what it boils down to, just trying to figure out what led to his motivation to commit such a horrific act, on these innocent people. What led to it. So I think they're just trying to build a profile. They're collaborating with state and federal law enforcement partners and trying to, determine what originated from all this.
With your particular background and expertise, what are the most pressing questions that you have about this case right now?
Well, again, it just goes back to what motivated this person to do it, the accessibility to guns. He received, from what I understand, at his 18th birthday, he was celebrating that he was able to, acquire these weapons. So it was just a matter of how did he gain access to these weapons, and what was the purpose of it? I mean, what? So I know that social media is very present in our lives today. So it's a matter of, are you just trying to show off? Is it something that, did you have a bigger agenda on hand that you wanted to, that motivated to yesterday's, terrible incident? So we're just really trying to figure out what motivated this person. And again, how this person was able to acquire these weapons.
This is now the 27th school shooting just this year alone. And in just the past few weeks, again, we saw the mass shooting in a grocery store in New York, a church in California. How are these tragedies able to be replicated so often right now in this country? And to what the president said moments ago, uniquely in this country, as opposed to many other countries around the world?
Well, there are several issues that come into place here. For instance, you do have a mental health crisis that is going on. New York City, I know they're working on the development in improving the mental health programs. That's one of them. I know they're also working on gun control within the city, and I know that statewide as well as countrywide. So you have those two. You have those two just alone. Which contribute to these components of these terrible incidents. Another issue I would say would be what kind of active shooter protocols are in place for each school, each institution. I mean, when was the last time they were upgraded? I know they're treated as fire drills because they always have their children and staff members go through. They'll do these drills. But, how often do they evolve on these drills? So it's just a matter of just updating the training and just focusing on that.
I pose this question to you as a member of law enforcement and with the background that you have. Are there any changes to gun registration or access that could help law enforcement prevent another one of these massacres from happening, especially one at an elementary school?
Well, one of them, if it's not done already, I would suggest something along the lines of what your lineage, who lives with you, who lives in your home, what kind of accessibility would that person have, and I know that they have, and I already know that they have similar things in place, but how often do they actually enforce it? How often do they actually inspect these homes and these locations to make sure that people are actually following protocol? And that's something that should strongly be considered if it's not already.
I mean, I think that's such a fair point. We could enact all the protocols we want, but if they're not enforced and there is an oversight in terms of just how frequently they are enforced, it means literally nothing here. Texas Governor Abbott has relaxed gun laws in that state in particular. And now Texas Congressman Joaquin Castro has called on the Texas Governor, Greg Abbott, saying that he has made it more dangerous in Texas. I want you to listen to this quick soundbite, and then I'll have a reaction on the other side.
The Congress hasn't done enough. Many of us have tried. The state legislature in Texas, the governor in particular, I think has made it worse in Texas, has made it more dangerous in Texas.
As someone who specializes in homeland security, what do you think the government can do on this issue?
Well, it has to come from all aspects. Coming from the top down, from the government, I think they need to re-examine what's currently on paper now, what's currently on federal, in the federal guidelines. What do we have going on now that's gonna, what needs to be changed? I mean, I am a proponent to believe that the human mind is the most dangerous weapon on the earth, and we can be our own worst enemy. So we have to evolve with positive as well as negative innovation. And this is where, unfortunately, these crimes unfold. They become more creative. They become more constructive. People, it's not what it used to be 25, 30 years ago, where, you would take a chance and, people that want to commit these type of horrific acts, they're going to plan and prepare. So we have to plan and prepare to be able to deploy an absolute solution, or a much more comprehensive solution proactively. The way that's going to be done is by starting from the top down. Let's examine these laws, what's going on, how can we improve on them, and then taking it down the line. How our law enforcement response can be more effective, what kind of active shooter programs or active assailant programs are already in place in schools. So everyone has to come together collaboratively and try to determine what is going to be the best outcome for everyone. It's unfortunately to everyone in Uvalde, Texas, that they're facing this terrible tragedy in reality now.
I have one final question for you, and it's really been the number one question that I've been asked today, and in the discussions that I've had with people has come up, was that the fact that this happened at a school, and many parents, I'm not even a parent, and I think about the day I have children, I am fearful of whether they truly will be protected at a school. What can be done to better protect students? If we can't we can't kind of enact gun laws fast enough, or we can't enact better protocols, what can be done to better protect our schools and our students?
I think we have to examine, schools should consider re-examining their active shooter programs, not only from within the facility, but also from outside. Any type of school resource officers, when was the last time they did their active shooter training? There are several different components to active shooter training. One where you're going to have to instruct staff, one where you're going to have to instruct students. It has to be reevaluated. And that's one thing. The other thing would also to consider would be what other programs are out there, because you can't just get stuck with one way and one way only. I think that we all need to expand our knowledge. We have to be able to explore other type of training. So that's just my suggestion.
Nelson, really appreciate your insight on this after this unfortunate and tragic event in Texas. Nelson Vergara, founder and CEO of 360 Protective, and a New York City law enforcement professional with academic backgrounds in homeland security and emergency management. Thank you so much, Nelson. All right, we're going to take a break. Coming up, we'll have more opening bell.